Hello again. One may always rely upon the BBC not to miss an opportunity to accuse some institution in Britain of having a systemic bias against black people. In this case, it is the NHS again. By the by, it is curious how this bias always seems to be against black people, rather than against Chinese people, Indians or Jews. Black women are 40% more likely to suffer a miscarriage or stillbirth during pregnancy, and also more likely to die during childbirth. The answer? It is implicit racism. Of course it is. I give a link in the description to this video to a piece from the BBC website written by two people called Tulip Mazumdar and Smitha Mundasad, in which they explore this topic. A black woman miscarried, apparently, and felt that the hospital she went to in Britain did not give her sufficient sympathy and attention. According to the BBC piece, asked why she was not listened to, her shaky voice becomes steely. The colour of my skin, she says. The attitude of some staff was, you have black skin, you are not from here, you can wait. This sounds like a load of rubbish, quite honestly. Hospitals are not always as sensitive as they might be to women who miscarry. This is perfectly true, but has nothing to do with skin colour. Sometimes miscarriages are made light of, as are things like ectopic pregnancies and stillbirths. This is a terrible state of affairs, but it's nothing to do with race. My own wife lost a baby to an ectopic pregnancy years ago, and the following day the consultant brought round a bunch of student doctors on his round and asked my wife to explain to them what she understood of the situation and to tell all these people how much she knew about ectopic pregnancies. This was the day after losing a baby and nearly bleeding to death. Of course, this was horribly crass, and we wrote a strong letter to the hospital later, but I'm afraid these things happen. It's not a question of skin colour at all. What are the reasons that black women are more likely to miscarry or die in pregnancy? Well, being overweight is one thing, which is associated with death during childbirth. Black people have the highest rates of obesity in Britain. I give a link to this figure in the description to this video. Chinese women in this country have half the rate of obesity that black British women do. Diabetes and heart disease are connected with this as well, and black people suffer more from these diseases than white people. There is also the fact that stillbirths are more common in deprived areas than in prosperous ones, and that this is where many black people live. Having a baby before the age of 20 is also a risk factor. In short, implicit racism is an unnecessary hypothesis, and I can see why the BBC was so quick to seize on this. The National Health Service is often accused of being institutionally racist in that black people tend to have higher mortality rates than white and often have poorer outcomes for health than other ethnicities. The problem is, though, that many of these outcomes are in such things as high blood pressure, heart problems, diabetes, and a range of other disorders which are linked to being overweight. Here are one or two facts taken from the government figures to which I give a link. In the year to November 2020, 62.8% of adults in England were overweight or obese. 67.5% of black adults were overweight or obese, the highest percentage out of all ethnic groups. Only 32.2% of adults from the Chinese ethnic group were overweight or obese, which is the lowest percentage out of all ethnic groups. In other words, black people are twice as likely to be obese as those of Chinese origin. Anybody see the connection between this and health? Here's a clue. It's nothing to do with racism. If you live on fried chicken and take away pizzas, then you'll get fat and your health will suffer. If, on the other hand, you live on vegetables and rice, this is much less likely. Racism really is a red herring in such matters.